Hawaii is known for beautiful beaches, emerald blue waters, and stunning sunsets. The beauty of the islands has attracted many visitors from all over the world. But many don't realize that this beautiful paradise has a dark and evil side. From May 1985 to April 1986, the Honolulu Strangler took the lives of 5 women and has never been caught. Let's explore the case of the Honolulu Strangler. The first victim was Vicky Gail Purdy. 25-year-old Vicky was the wife of an Army officer and helicopter pilot. Vicky was known as being tough and feisty. She enjoyed dancing at clubs for fun. On May 29, 1985, Vicky went to go clubbing on Waikiki with some of her friends. She was wearing a yellow jumpsuit and red belt. She drove herself to the Shorebird Hotel to park her car. Although Vicky was supposed to meet up with her friends, she never did. She was last seen alive by a taxi driver who drove her to the Shorebird Hotel at midnight, reportedly to retrieve her car. Vicky's husband expected her to be home by 9 p.m., so the worried husband continuously paged Vicky. The next morning, Vicky's body was found on an embankment at Ke'ihi Lagoon. She was still wearing her yellow jumpsuit she had worn the night before, but Vicky's hands were tied behind her back. Vicky had been assaulted and strangled. Vicky worked at a video rental store where 2 women were stabbed and killed a year before. Vicky's husband believed that her murder may have been related to the video rental store. Although police looked into the video store, they were unable to come up with a connection to the 2 incidents. Without any further leads, police concluded that Vicky's death was a random act of violence. The second victim was 17-year-old Regina Sakamoto. Although shy, Regina was known for being confident and had many friends. Regina had plans to attend college in the fall. On January 14, 1986, Regina missed her bus to take her to school. Regina had called her boyfriend at 7:15 a.m. to tell him that she would be late to school. Regina was last seen by a phone booth near the bus stop. Regina's body was found the next day at Ke'ihi Lagoon. The location was less than 1 mile from where Vicky had been found. Regina was nude from the waist down. Her hands were tied behind her back, and she had also been assaulted and strangled. Although Vicky and Regina's cases had many similarities, some detectives were not convinced that the 2 cases were related. This was mainly due to the time lapse from Vicky's case to Regina's. The third victim was 21-year-old Denise Hughes. Denise was a secretary for a telephone company who relied on the bus for transportation. On January 30th, 1986, Denise failed to show up to work. Her body was found by fishermen on February 1st in the Mauna Loa stream. Denise was wearing a blue dress. Her body had been wrapped in a blue tarp. Like Vicky and Regina, Denise's hands were bound behind her back and she had been assaulted and strangled. The location of Vicky, Regina, and Denise were relatively close to the Honolulu airport. After finding 3 bodies under similar circumstances, there was no doubt that the cases were now related. This was the first recorded instance of a serial killer in Hawaii. The media nicknamed the killer the Honolulu Strangler. A task force was established on February 5th. Police had no suspects and very little evidence. Although forensic samples had been taken, the technology at the time was primitive and could only get information on blood types. DNA profiling would not emerge until several years after the case. The fourth victim was 25-year-old Louise Medeiros. Louise traveled from Honolulu to Kauai due to her mother's death. Louise was also 3 months pregnant at the time. On March 26th, Louise was flying back to Oahu on a red-eye flight. Before she left, Louise's sister suggested that she leave a day later so that Louise wouldn't be forced to take the bus home at night. Louise declined the suggestion as she wanted to get home. After her flight landed, Louise disappeared. It was believed that Louise had been abducted while waiting at her bus stop. Her body was found on April 2nd near the Waikele stream. She was nude from the waist down. Her hands had been tied behind her back. She had been assaulted and strangled. With 4 known victims, police began to step up their efforts to try to identify the killer. The Honolulu Strangler Task Force grew to 27 investigators and also had assistance from the FBI and their Green River Killer Task Force. At this time, the community grew increasingly fearful. There were other high-profile disappearances and murders, including those of Lisa Au and Diane Suzuki, which led to widespread panic and fear that Hawaii was becoming a killing ground for women. The 5th victim was 36-year-old Linda Pesce. On April 29th, Linda left work to drive home. Linda had just been promoted at the telecom company where she worked. Linda never made it home. The next day, Linda's roommate reported her missing. Linda's vehicle was found parked on the side of a highway. It was believed that Linda's car had broken down and Linda walked to the nearest bus stop approximately half a mile away. Police also set up roadblocks to question commuters. Several commuters reported seeing Linda near her vehicle, which had the hazard lights on. The community, along with the police, continued to search for Linda with hope that she would soon be found. That hope soon faded. On May 3rd, a 43-year-old man named Howard Gay came forward as an informant to tell police that a psychic had told him that Linda's body would be located on Sand Island. Howard took police officers to the location, but no body was found. Police noted that Howard was avoiding one area of Sand Island. When they went to check that particular area, Linda's body was located. She was nude, with her hands tied behind her back. She had been assaulted and strangled. Police also set up another roadblock to question commuters. Several witnesses were counted seeing a light-colored van and a Caucasian or mixed-race man in the area. The FBI also developed a profile on the killer. The killer was described as an opportunist who would attack women when they were vulnerable. It was believed that the killer lived or worked in the area. It was also believed that the killer may have marital or relationship problems. It was noted that the profile had many similarities to Howard Gay. Police began to take a closer look into Howard Gay. On May 9th, Howard was interviewed regarding the murders. He was given a polygraph test, which he failed. They continued to question Howard regarding the murders, to which Howard denied any involvement. Police arrested Howard in the hopes that he would confess, but he didn't. In addition, the prosecutor was unwilling to move forward on any charges without physical evidence, as the case was entirely circumstantial. Without any further evidence, police released Howard. After interviewing Howard's ex-wife and girlfriend, both admitted that they participated in bondage activities and had allowed Howard to tie their hands behind their back during sex. Howard's girlfriend told police that occasionally, when the two would have a fight, Howard left the house and would not return until the next morning. The nights that the two fought were on the same nights that the murders had occurred. Police continued their investigation and conducted surveillance on Howard. In order to assist the investigation, local private businesses came up with a $25,000 reward for any information. 2 months later, a woman came forward and stated that she had seen a man with one of the victims. The woman successfully picked out Howard in a lineup. However, the woman wanted to remain anonymous and refused to testify in court because she believed that Howard may come after her next. Although not much is known about the forensic samples that were tested, it is known that the samples were tested for the presence of sperm. The results were that the sperm counts were diminished, which could be the result of a vasectomy. It was discovered that Howard did have a vasectomy. Howard left Hawaii and moved to the Midwest. Although police continued surveillance over several years to the various places where Howard moved, they were unable to come up with any new leads. Howard passed away in 2003. Police were unable to come up with any evidence to conclusively tie Howard Gay to the 5 murders. Because Howard had never been charged for any of the murders, it is presumed he is innocent until proven guilty. No other suspects have emerged in the case of the Honolulu Strangler, and the case remains unsolved.